Hello and welcome to Every Horror Movie on Netflix, the show where we watch, review, discuss, and recommend sometimes.
And sometimes argue about.
every horror movie on Netflix. We're back again, still going in alphabetical order through the entire damn Netflix horror catalog. As always, I'm Chris. I'm here with Patrick.
Hi.
And Steven.
Hello.
And who are you?
Hi, I'm Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Nice to see you guys, or hear you guys.
Sam's guest starring this week. We're very excited to have her on board. She's been doing she's put a lot of effort into her preparation for today's discussion. How many
More than any of us ever have, for sure.
Yeah. But tell us about yourself, Sam.
I'm a librarian by trade.
Okay.
And I like watching horror films on Netflix, and I'm friends with you guys, unfortunately, so you drug me here. So here we go. We're going to talk about it.
You once made 1/3 of a horror movie with me and Chris.
That's true.
Occasionally, Patrick and I talk about the horror movie that we are still working on, and Sam was the star of the show.
Well, objectively the star.
Oh, objectively, for sure, yeah. I mean, she co-starred with me, but she was objectively the star, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But I can tell Sam's a librarian because she came here with a ton of printed materials about the movie we're going to be talking about today.
Well, and more importantly, tell the listening audience how many times you watched today's movie, Sam.
Watched twice and a third listen. So total of 3 times, just to keep it fresh and ready for you guys so you know what to prepare yourselves for.
So you could fill in all the gaps because we have a history.
There's a lot.
I will make sure that this time, out of all the times, if you're a constant listener and you say these guys don't know the plot of a movie, I will keep them on track.
Perfect. So glad to have you on board. So, what movie did we watch this week, guys?
Bedeviled.
Bedeviled.
No, except in the movie it's pronounced Bedeviled.
Mr.
I guess it is, yeah.
Everyone says Bedevil.
Yeah.
They mispronounce a lot of things in this movie.
Yeah.
I heard the sort of like resident guru of all sorts of knowledge in this movie says Alzheimer's instead of Alzheimer's disease.
Alzheimer's disease.
I was going to keep a list, but there's a lot of flubbed lines in here. So, including the title, they say Bedeviled.
Bedevil.
Not how I would choose to pronounce it, but...
I mean, the character is called Mr. Bedevil, but they say Bedevil, Mr. Bedevil.
Well, like I said last time, I was looking forward to this movie a lot. I had seen the artwork. I had seen the synopsis. It looked interesting.
Yeah, so wait, first explain that. What were you stoked about? What got you pumped?
The visuals, which if you scroll by it on the Netflix catalog, you'll see the visual of the corpse-looking guy with a little bow tie grinning. And it says Bedeviled. Or Bedevil.
And that was all you needed.
And I'm sold. I'm there.
He reminded me of, before I saw the movie, what's the dude's, the creepy dummy's name from Goosebumps?
Oh, Slappy.
Slappy.
Yeah.
He looks like him.
He looks like Slappy, and he looks, I think
sort of like Billy.
Or like Dead
Billy.
Silence. The
Exactly.
artwork of Dead Silence.
Yeah.
That's, I think, why I liked it, because I'm a big fan of James Wan and all his creepy puppets, and he looks like a puppet.
Yeah.
He's not a puppet.
Turns out, yeah.
No.
Instead, he's an app.
Even scarier. Or so this movie thinks.
Yeah, so this movie, Steve, I want to hear you attempt to describe the premise.
You want to hear me attempt to describe the premise? All right, so we open with a death. The girl dies. She's fucking with her phone, and the thing that you just described sort of comes after her, kills her. And all of her friends, after the funeral, get invites to download a new app that she had on her phone. And it turns out that it's kind of like a Siri knockoff sort of thing. It seems it can do pretty much anything you want it to, including turn the lights off if it's not even hooked up, if you don't have a smart home. And one by one, the app sort of manipulates them, makes them face their biggest fears, and then kills them. Right?
Yeah.
That sound about right?
Yeah, it's a haunted app, basically.
And actually, I will say from the opening scene in which this girl dies, I was pretty into the opening scene. It's pretty gripping. It's visually striking. I was
Good.
okay, this could be all right.
But
It's got a very Carpenter font, like it looks like the Prince
Yeah.
of Darkness or Christine font at the beginning.
Or
Lots of, like-
Insidious, as Sam and I were
I
talking
said it looked
about.
like Insidious, the opening of Insidious,
Oh.
with the red letters.
The title card we're talking
Yeah,
about,
just
like
the
when
title
they
card.
display the title, it's like a black
I think-
field and red font that like kind of zooms
and
away from the
and
screen.
the ominous music, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is gonna be
Yeah.
scary.
It looks like a million other horror movies, basically.
Exactly.
Well, it looks.
But it
I
works
remember
for a reason.
Insidious did that, and I hadn't seen anything like that before. So I'm going to credit Insidious for at least bringing that back. But that's the first thing you see in the movie. It's like, production credits and then Bedeviled and red letters on black, heavy music. And I
Yeah.
said, this is going to be a great film.
just based on the title card.
Sometimes you know.
Dude, as I got like 10 minutes into this movie, I was like, oh, Chris is going to love this movie. This is a Chris movie through and through.
It had a lot of things I enjoyed, which we will delve into.
You loved like sort of bratty teens or young people getting into fucked up situations.
Some Blumhouse movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the exception of Get Out.
I like seeing.
You like kind of catty groups of friends.
I love catty groups of friends.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know why. I guess
That's why
it's
you hang out with
because-
us.
It's because I'm constantly brainstorming a movie that I hopefully will at least write someday about a catty group of high school friends, and also I'm a big fan of Mean Girls, which is the definitive catty group of young people movie, and so I like seeing that sort of thing in a movie.
Yeah.
But you'll write it better than this one.
Well,
Wait, you just said you wanted to make a movie about a catty group of young friends. Is it a horror movie? You didn't specify the genre.
it's Pizza Face Killer.
Oh, okay, that's what I think.
You've been talking about
I
Pizza
thought
Face
maybe you
Killer
just had, like,
on
a
the cast.
dramedy or something that you were cooking up.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
Dramedy.
You talked about Pizza Face Killer on the cast before, and slowly, like, the audience is finding out what Pizza Face Killer actually is.
As am I. I
Like,
don't think I've ever heard the full pitch. just
I
get little
have, but I
pieces.
kind of forget.
well,
it
I'm not
sometimes.
gonna reveal it on the air and have it get stolen. So
Are you gonna reveal the title of the sequel?
the Pizza Face Killer sequel is called Pizza Face Killer 2: Deep Space Pizza Face. And that movie is, I can tell you the premise of that movie because it's completely different from Pizza Face Killer. Pizza Face Killer 2: Deep Space Pizza Face is like Prometheus, where there's like an
boy.
expedition going off to
Oh, right.
find.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I won't tell you the brilliant ideas in it, but it's a science fiction movie.
Well,
the first
all
one's
the
a slasher.
great horror franchises go to space. I mean,
Yeah.
Leprechaun in space, Hellraiser goes to space, Jason Voorhees goes to space, and Jason X.
That's exactly why
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Wow.
That's actually exactly what motivated me. I said, you know what? All these horror movies.
Jason
go
X, perfect film. I want to emulate that.
They
We
go-
need to bring it back.
all these movies, all these franchises go to space after they've reached their prime and been washed up. We're going to space in the second movie.
Yeah. Is Jason X played for comedy?
It's hard to say.
Oh,
don't know
I want
what
to
the
see
motivation
that
was
now.
behind
Does
that.
it all take place in space?
It's really, really bad. But David Cronenberg is in it. So
What?
maybe you'll see it for that. Yeah.
I think you can discern how much we like the movie by how much time we spend shooting the shit before we start talking about the movie.
yeah.
Typically, the more
what's the
we
ratio?
chatter before we get into the movie, the less we liked it.
But no, there's a ton of stuff I liked in this movie. So yeah, it's a dead teenager movie of the sort that I haven't seen in a while. Like, it seems like the horror genre has kind of moved past that to where maybe they have teenagers who die, but it's still aspiring to something else. And this movie is just like, there's some dead teenagers, and by the end, you're like, oh, did that tell me anything?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we just here to see people die?
CW rejects.
But I love the concept. I love I'm getting ahead of myself because I actually love the concept of this movie. The haunted app, I thought, was a really hokey idea that was executed very well.
I don't know about very well. I was like, oh god, it's hashtag horror all over again when I first found out that it was a haunted app. I don't know if you have seen
I have
hashtag
not.
horror, Sam, but it's
I have
another.
not, but I liked the premise. I thought the premise was good. But I just felt like it was trying to be other movies that I have seen. Like, the dead friend contacting them with the app request was like Unfriended.
Unfriended, another one of my
Totally
favorites.
Unfriended. And I was just like, just wants to be other movies. And that just drove me crazy because I'm like, you're not doing it as well as those other movies that weren't even that good.
You are after my heart today. You have mentioned all of my favorite horror movies of the last 10 years.
Oh, I'm not done yet. I've got more movies. I'm in my notes here.
Okay.
I've got more.
You want to go now or trickle them out as we go?
I will probably trickle as we talk about it, but another one is, is probably took it dirtier
I'll
than I meant
get
it.
a towel to put under your chair there.
Yeah, getting real drippy over here.
That's my role. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm constantly on the verge of pissing myself when we do this podcast.
That is true.
No joke.
But
Editing, Chris's masterful editing allows us to skip Steve's many bathroom breaks, but yeah, it's true.
I felt like this movie wanted to be like Scream 2, with its constant sexual references, like this late night horror film, and just the at one point they're in school and the teacher is talking to them about fear. 'Cause
Right.
fear is this constant
All right.
monologue
Yeah.
shit that keeps being brought up to these kids.
Mr.
we
D
agree
is
that
so
Mr. D is so
hot.
hot? Yeah.
He's
Oh, yeah.
so hot.
He's so hot. So
He's
these
not
teens
hot to
are
me.
lusting over, these two girls are lusting over their teacher and talking about how hot he is. And then the teacher mentions
I mean,
something
let's be
about-
fair. He is pretty hot, right, guys?
Oh, so hot.
Super hottie.
So hot.
Disagree.
Oh, you do
What?
think he's hot?
Didn't care for him.
Oh.
No.
Oh, no,
you-
I was joking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not.
I said disagree that he's.
I mean, whatever. Everyone
He's
has
a
different
normal-
standards of beauty, but he's still
a
not
normal
like
guy.
the guy that, or
so
even
kind.
he's not even the clothing that you put on like the hot teacher in a movie. Like just the guy they cast, the costume they chose is like, wait, this is the sexy teacher.
The teacher mentions sex in his spiel to the kids and
Yeah.
says it's not like
not
having
like-
an orgasm or
Yeah.
something. And I'm like,
like
these are
directly to one of the
teens.
girls.
Something that would get him fired for sure.
Well, okay. My whole thing with that is, I like the Scream comparison. I did not think of that, but this movie is kind of like, it seems to try to appear to be self-aware. And there's like a line later in the movie where they talk about a certain character not having been killed yet, and they kind
Yeah.
of make a joke about how this is like a setup for a bad horror movie, but it's not. And that fear scene, I thought the same thing. But I was just wondering, like, what fucking class is this that he's giving them a
Yeah.
lecture where he literally has fear written in capital letters
Yeah.
on the board, and he's telling them for seemingly no reason that you can actually die from being afraid, turns out. An overload of adrenaline.
Well, I'm getting tired of movies that communicate their theme through a classroom lecture. It's kind of like communicating your theme through a dream sequence where it's so easy and arbitrary.
Yeah.
It's just like punch whatever word you want to put in here.
Well, it's like Before I Wake with all the therapy sequences,
Right.
right? It just sort of hammers you over the head with a message. And
It's a really easy context to like just drop in your little lecture about whatever the theme of your movie
Pizza
is.
Face Killer is actually going to kind of do that, but it's going to be like they're doing a geometry lesson, and the geometry lesson happens to look like pizza slices.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, so it's going to be tongue in cheek. There's not going to be a teacher standing up there saying, "Pizza, what does it mean? What is nutrition?"
Well, this movie, not only does it give it a lecture in a classroom, but it gives a lecture later on about fear as well with the pastor on the television later in the movie.
God, yeah,
11th
that's weird.
hour.
Yeah.
11th hour. Like they got
That was
like
some anti-birth shit.
Yeah.
they got like 109 pages into their script, and we're like, "Oh, do good movies have themes? Oh, let's write this in."
Ours is fear. Let's talk about it more.
brings me to something. I mean, I don't know what you guys are going to think of this. I'm not sure what I think of it, but I like so the app is called what? Bedeviled? Mr.
Mr.
Bedeviled?
Bedeviled.
How do they call
Mr.
it?
Bedeviled.
I thought it was just Bedevil.
Bedevil is
Is
the
it
app.
Mr.? Yeah.
And Mr. Bedeviled is like the Siri of this app who can do whatever you want. The logo to me looked sort of like
V
like
for
the V for
Vendetta.
Vendetta logo, but the V is
Yeah.
shifted up slightly.
Hmm.
And I don't remember what I Googled looking for this movie, but V for Vendetta came up quickly as I was looking for stuff on Bedeviled. And like, of course, one of the themes of that is like sort of fear and like using fear to like control people. I kind of wonder if there's some crossover there. Like, 'cause this movie really hits you over the head with it, especially with like that lecture that with the pastor.
Yeah.
Like that seemed very much like, at least I feel like the director, whoever wrote this, was a fan of V for Vendetta and thought they were being smart.
Would it
with
be
all
a
this.
more faithful adaptation of V for Vendetta than
You'd have
V
to
for
ask Alan
Vendetta?
Moore. I'm not going to speak on his behalf.
Maybe in Alan Moore's mind. But all right, so the app stuff, I love. I thought it was very, like I said, a hokey idea, a bunch of bullshit. We've already seen hashtag horror. I was expecting to have a movie that For one thing, I was expecting to have a movie that really preached about, these kids and their phones. And
He did
it
a little.
doesn't really.
There's
A little.
There's a scene, but
There's
you're
a
right.
scene, but not from a sympathetic character.
I remember thinking it would have been a better film if there was more of that. Like, if they didn't, like, hit you over the head with it, but, like, I never got the sense that these kids were, like, normal teenagers who are attached to their phones all the time, because all they talk about in regards to their phones is the fucking app, except for the kid who films himself having sex.
Right, they seem like normal kids.
They seem like not even normal kids. Like, I feel like they're not on their phones enough for me to believe that they're normal. Like, when they are, they're just talking about this app. And I don't know, it is a hokey idea, but while I was watching the movie, I was like, actually, like, I feel like there is a good movie to be had out of, like, trying to make, and especially with everything that's gone on with, like, privacy lately, involving, like, Facebook, like, there's a way to make that scary or get under your skin in some way, like apps or, smartphones. This movie didn't do it for me, though. There's just nothing scary about kids playing with phones. Turn your fucking phone off. Delete the app. I don't understand.
Right. That was my number one problem with it. I mean, like, the execution of the app, I guess, is fine. The voice talking to them is creepy, whatever. But my main thing was I just kept going, okay, it turned your lights off and now it won't turn them back on. Doesn't this alert anyone to the fact there's a fucking problem, you know?
Well, they probably wouldn't have been able
There's
to
the one
delete the
kid who
app
did.
or turn their phone off.
But they didn't
we
know,
but it
tried.
didn't matter.
They didn't even try.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it would have been scarier to me if it actually seemed like a legitimate threat. I was just like, okay, so someone at least makes some attempt to get this fucking thing off your phone. Everybody was just like, oh, that's kind of weird for like an extraordinarily long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a lot of trouble with, like, okay, I get it. They got this from their friend just died, and apparently she's amazing. They spent like 3 minutes talking her up like a saint after the funeral. So I get it. They're like, well, she's great. Of course she'd know about the best app in the world. We have to download this.
It's a great app. Like, if that app were available today, it'd be amazing.
Except that it wants you to die. It's going to kill you.
Even better.
What's your greatest
It's not
fear?
a bug,
But
it's
I'm like,
a feature.
What's your greatest fear, Chris?
We talked about
We
that.
did this last episode, actually, yeah, but
yeah, mine's failure.
that was
that.
hilarious, yeah.
What's your greatest
True,
fear,
though.
Sam? Since you weren't here last time.
Oh, God. People staring at me, expecting me to tell you what my greatest fear is.
Oh,
and
you're gonna have nightmares
it's
tonight,
coming
honey.
true. It's coming true right now. I don't know how to answer that.
Well, I think we should provide a little more information about the app and how it kind of works and plays out.
I want to know. Actually, I hope somebody can answer this for me. I don't understand what they're expecting when they download the app and start it up. Like, what is it really supposed to do?
Well, first they call it a game. They don't know what the fuck it is.
Oh, okay.
And then it just starts
I mean,
talking
they
to
treat
them
it
and they
like
go
a
from
Siri.
there. Yeah.
And it seems like a Siri. It comes up and
Yeah.
you have a silhouette of the like dummy looking guy with the red bow tie that glows when he talks, which I thought was great design. I love
Yeah,
the look
that
of
was
it.
pretty cool.
And he's, hello, I'm Mr. Bedeviled. We should just play a clip of it, actually.
We should roll the clip, Chris.
Yep, cue it up.
Hi, I'm Mr. Bedeviled.
Mr. Bedeviled.
What's your name?
Another stupid questionnaire game.
Oh, I'm not a game, Alice.
So, how do you know my name?
Like many apps, I have access to your Facebook account.
Well, that's not good.
Here's something to lighten your mood. You seem a little blue.
Do you give GPS directions, voice text, recommend hangout spots?
I provide companionship for my users. That is my main function.
But, like, you're downloading an app and you don't know what it is. There's a silhouette of a figure that already looks ominous, and his name is Mr. Bedeviled.
Not very subtle. Not as subtle name.
Nobody seems even remotely, like, piqued by this.
No,
They're just
that's
like, oh,
not
okay,
weird. Yeah,
great.
that's normal.
Like, how many dicks did that woman suck in that porn that I used to watch? You know, like, you start asking these
Oh, yeah, they
insane
talk
questions.
about porn a lot.
There's a lot of, a lot of boner
Late night
chat in
horror.
this movie.
Like, these kids just purposely talking about sex and swearing for no apparent reason and
Yeah.
just wants to be.
Not
this
no
other
apparent
movie.
reason, because, like, that's, like, one of the cardinal sins in, like, a traditional slasher movie, apparently. And I'm so sick of movies, like, perpetuating that trope. Like, I need a better reason to want these kids to die. Like, they should be
okay.
having sex. Like, they're not committing a sin. Like, it's 2018.
You'd like to stigmatize something else.
Sure. Like, using your phone too much.
Voting Republican.
There we go.
So this app is menacing, but also kind of friendly. for the first bit.
Charming initially, I would say.
And his MO is basically he's omnipotent. He can turn off your lights, open your windows, whatever, through the app.
Omnipotent.
Thank you. You know why I pronounce words wrong?
Because, like me, you probably grew up reading more than you actually talk to people.
Exactly.
I mean, I relate.
Exactly.
This doesn't have to be on cast. I also
that'll
just
be
got
on
super
cast.
anal retentive about it.
No, I'm glad you corrected
No,
me.
that was a beautiful moment, guys.
Anyway, he's omnipotent.
Good job. Much better.
So basically, he does things and it escalates and he gets spookier and scarier. And then he starts playing with your fears and you start seeing things. Like if you're afraid of clowns, you'll start seeing clowns everywhere.
Oh, that's why they were clowns.
Yeah.
And then eventually it gets
That's
to a
my
point.
June moment of this episode.
Oh, well, you don't remember the story with like the Asian woman like throwing her baby out or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
all that- yeah.
I was
that's why all that
confused
stuff
about what that
happens.
had. Oh,
Yeah. So
Yeah,
whatever kids' specific traumas are, and I don't know if we need to get into all of them, at least yet, but whatever the kids' specific fears and traumas are manifest themselves as sort of like hallucinations. It's coming from the app, and then eventually it just gets also scary that they die, and really we don't understand the mechanism of how they
Yeah,
die.
we don't. I was so
I think
confused.
they say it's a heart attack at one point.
You die from fear. It's like Mr.
Yeah.
D told us about.
It's like
Yeah,
sexy,
and I'm
sexy
not
Mr.
like
D.
sex, though.
I'm
Not
so
like
dumb that I
sex.
didn't pick
No.
up on that because I was like so mad that every time, not mad because I've seen other movies where I'm like, why do we have to see like the gory details of the death? But it always cuts away right before they die, and then we'll see the ambulance or whatever. And like I assumed that they had just been like, ripped apart by whatever was chasing them, be it like an animatronic teddy bear or a creepy old Asian woman or a clown. But you're right. I think I should have listened more closely to Mr. D's lecture.
Yeah.
He laid it all out.
He was just too sexy. You got distracted by his
Too
hotness.
sexy for his
Just
shirt.
like staring
My
into the
God.
sun.
That stuff actually reminded me of another one of my favorite horror movies, The Ring.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of, especially the beginning where you have a girl and there's like she's already damned to die and she's like, I don't know what to do, and then she just dies, and then the rest of the movie comes in the aftermath of her grief, which is similar to The Ring.
Damned if you die, damned if you don't.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an app, and I was on board with all the app stuff. I thought, like I said, well executed for what it was. I thought Mr. Bedeviled was very charismatic and an interesting villain.
I'd like to meet him.
Well, we
Seems-
probably could set that up. Download
Guys,
the app. You'll meet
hi.
him.
Oh my God, you
Steven.
guys. I'm going to download the app right now.
Oh no.
I don't know why I didn't think of that during the movie.
Hey, what's that weird thing on your shoulder there? That little mark.
What? Are you serious?
Oh yeah, because they all get a mark.
They all get a brand.
Oh, I
this
didn't
was
even-
actually
I didn't
this
even notice
was
that.
this was one of
Oh,
the
yeah.
like scariest parts of the movie. Actually, to me, is that the Bedevil logo, the like V for
Oh,
Vendetta
yeah.
thing, shows up as like a little brand on like each of their shoulders or their chest, and I was like, that would freak me. That was another thing where I was like, why is no one flipping out about this more? Like if I woke up and I had like a really distinct, like not just a bug bite, but like clearly a little brand that looked like a little logo, I'd be like, holy fucking shit, you know?
How many conversations do
Or
they
they just
have
kinda,
about
like,
how there
look
must
at it
be
in the
some
mirror?
kind of rational explanation for this? That happens like 3
My
times
God.
during this movie, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is fucked up. Like, throw your phone away, whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
Alert the authorities, and be
Mhm.
done with it.
Yeah. Be done with Bedevil.
Be done with Mr. Bedevil.
Yeah.
Bedevil. Gotta say it
Bedevil.
right.
Be done with Bedevil.
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 Yeah.
Now I will say they did eventually address the like you know the phones repair themselves and they throw them. You can't delete the app. You can't like there's no way out. But nobody really tries until like 45 minutes into
Yeah,
this movie.
until
Right.
close to the end.
Oh, also, I just remembered, this is interesting. The Asian kid in this movie is the actor who played the like child warlord in Tropic Thunder.
Interesting.
He's
Yeah.
coming up.
All grown up now. Yeah.
Yeah, now he's in a movie where he talks about nothing but sex
Yeah.
for the entire film. He's
Yeah.
really moving up in the
So
world.
sex driven. What do we feel about the forced diversity in this film?
Oh God, so cringy.
Oh, that's difficult. Yeah, I don't know.
I felt like this forced diversity was they had the group of kids. There were 2 girls, one a better actress than the other. But then there was a white guy, her boyfriend, and then there was a black guy, and there was an Asian guy. And it was just felt like it was purposely had to throw a black guy in there, had
Well-
to throw an Asian person in there, and just not have all white people.
Oh my god, like American Poltergeist. Didn't they do the same fucking thing in that movie? Or
Yeah.
one of them?
Well, I think the reason it feels forced is because the Asian guy's Asian heritage becomes like a really big element of the plot, and so does the black guy's blackness.
Yeah.
And sometimes it worked. I thought, so there's a sequence where the black character is talking to the app, and the app starts racially
orders
You
him
thought that
fried
was
chicken
good?
and waffle. Yeah.
You
whatever.
liked that, Chris? I wanted to
no,
punch
not
the
that,
film.
not that part.
Okay.
But I did like this part afterwards where he gets off the tram and he's walking around and he's hypersensitive because he's afraid that someone is gonna think he's a black thug and he's gonna end up dead from police or self-defense or otherwise.
Yeah, but they're also, like, at the same time, I think that is directly preceded by the scene where he's on the bus talking to the old woman.
Oh my god.
About, like, you know, he gets on the bus and she very conspicuously kind of like pushes her purse to the side to like hide it from him. And then he starts whistling and she recognizes that it's Chopin, or as they pronounce it in this movie, Chopin.
No, they don't. They say
No,
it
they
correctly.
said it
She says
right.
it correctly.
Yeah.
She says
I'm
Chopin.
pretty sure she says Chopin.
Chris, roll the tape.
Chopin. That's a beautiful piece.
All right, so you were wrong. Anyway, moving.
Fuck you, dude.
No, it was. They said it right.
I was impressed.
Everybody says it right.
Everybody
I was
says
impressed.
it
There was
right.
at least one pronunciation that said
Okay.
Chopin. But they have this this discussion that just feels extremely like self-consciously, like socially responsible. Like the movie is like, oh yeah, we understand what the black experience is like, but there's no real reason for them to have this discussion other than to be like, oh yeah, we know how black people feel when they go out in public.
Liked it. I
Really?
liked it.
What
I'll
did it
defend
do?
it.
What did it do? Why did it need to be there, I guess, is my question. Why?
Because, well, the movie's about fear and what are people's fears, and
Negrophobia.
it handles that theme terribly.
Horrible.
All right? But in this specific case, I thought the conversation on the bus was a little contrived, but I was like, okay, that's interesting. That's his strategy. Basically, when he's out in public, you know, he'll whistle or something because he thinks he's less likely to be seen as a threat if he's whistling like classical music or something.
That is cool, but also like I feel like the character is just poorly drawn from the beginning. Like initially, I was like, it seemed like they were trying to so it did feel like forced diversity, but it felt like they were trying to like take the token black guy and make him the smartest character, which I was like, well, that's an interesting thing to do, but it's kind of like reverse racism, especially because he only speaks in monologues. Like, I don't know how he seems to know everything or have an answer to everything. He's just like a walking, talking exposition machine. Like every like 20 minutes in the movie, he has some sort of like scientific or philosophical answer for everything. So it was hard for me to take him seriously when he actually did have scenes where he was alone and we saw what his everyday experience was like.
Yeah, I mean, well, see, the problem is that the movie does so many things poorly that then it's hard to kind of get in the right mindset when it's doing something that's not terrible.
I tried, but like I kind of wanted to laugh during that bus scene, but it wasn't funny. It wasn't so bad. It was good.
The
for
bus
sure.
really
scene,
awkward.
The fact that he says negrophobia, which like I don't know if that's a word, negrophobia. I'm not
think
sure.
it is.
But then it's like, that's pretty self-explanatory. And then he goes on, like he does in every other scene, to explain what that is. And I'm like,
well, it was a really clumsy on the bus was a really clumsy exposition dump, and there's several of those in the movie.
Yes.
Fine, but then once you understand kind of who he is and what his fears are, I thought the resulting sequence where he's walking around the city
I agree.
being paranoid
That was
about
I think
following
that
a
was the
white
best
woman too
one.
close.
that worked. Like that was
That
cool.
was the
It just
best.
like,
Yeah.
it was a good payoff. I wish they just cut to that. Like, I feel like I could have inferred that was what was going on without the scene per se.
And I was
So the
scared. And
point-
he sees a police officer who turns out to be a manifestation of the app.
Except for when he punches the homeless guy.
Yeah, that was gratuitous.
really awful.
So everybody has their signature fear, and the point is that his fear is like basically negrophobia phobia.
Yeah.
He's like afraid of being seen as like a black thug, as someone used the term.
Or at least that's one
Which-
of his fears.
But that just feels so awkward to me. Like it just fits into the rest of the movie so uncomfortably. Like I mean,
Everyone else, like,
because
the one
actually,
afraid of a teddy bear for like no reason. I mean, it is a little creepy, but
because I mean that's sort of fascinating. Like that's a whole movie. I mean, Get Out, I guess, sort of is this movie, but I mean that's a fascinating movie right in and of itself. Because obviously, negrophobia is a thing. Like there are a lot of white people who are fucking unreasonably afraid of black people, and that's an interesting movie right there. But it doesn't fit into this fucking stupid movie. This like sort of
Yeah.
awkwardly socially aware plot thread doesn't fit
Yeah.
into this otherwise fucking stupid ass movie.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I give him
I'm
points for
getting a little,
trying, but
getting a
also
little
I
riled
think
up
they
right now.
failed pretty miserably. I mean, there's a reason we've been talking about this for like 10 minutes. I think it's kind of, overall, his arc is kind of upsetting. It doesn't fit
Yeah.
in this movie, and in their effort to try, I think they just muddied the waters even more.
Yeah.
Like,
I think ultimately his story is disappointing. We can talk about it in the spoiler room, but this specific sequence I thought was very compelling, and I don't think we have too much representation of that black experience of like, am I following this white woman too closely in a parking garage at night, and am I going to end up dead because of it?
We certainly need more representation of that, but it needs to be in a better movie. Like,
Right.
it's just really awkwardly shoehorned into this otherwise, like, pretty dumb
It felt
movie.
out of place.
Well, they didn't.
It's called Bedeviled. It's about a haunted app. It's not the place you go
They
for
didn't
racial
know.
diversity.
They didn't
or
know
to
they
learn
were
about
making a
people's
dumb
experiences.
movie.
Like, in and of
It's trying
itself,
to be a bunch of other movies.
yeah. In and of itself, like, I mean, now that I'm hearing you describe it, like, you describing that scene, you know, sort of in a vacuum, actually does sound interesting to me, and it almost works. But, like, when you surround it with the context of the rest of this, at the very least, dopey movie, no, that doesn't work for me. I can't go for that. No can do.
Sam mentioned the acting, and it was abysmal.
Across the board, everybody
It's
was
pretty bad.
shit in this movie, except Mr. D.
He
He was hot and competent.
CW rejects. They're all CW rejects.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like American Poltergeist. Like, we poked a lot of fun at like how many times they just like mispronounce a word and they just leave it in. There was
Like
so...
Chopin.
I don't
No,
know.
not like that.
Do you want to go outside and talk about this, Patrick?
Well, that's a good point.
I
American
swear to God, I
Poltergeist.
heard Chopin.
The difference between this movie and American Poltergeist is at least in American Poltergeist, all the actors seemed like they were enjoying themselves.
Yeah, everyone seems fucking checked out in this movie. They're like zombies. There's one scene right after the funeral where there's a girl. I think if you play the audio, it will still be clear. I bet you can hear it in her voice. I couldn't tell if she was supposed to be about to laugh or about to break down in tears. But she was putting forth very little energy. She clearly had like blown, like somebody had blown something in her eyes to make her look teary. They use those like salt crystals or whatever the actors use to look like teary-eyed. It was like that going on, but she was like smiling while talking about her friend dying and what a great person.
Oh my God, this just reminded me of one of my favorite lackluster line readings. Like one of the first appearances of Mr. Bedevil when someone uses the app for the first time. He says, "Like many apps, I have access to your Facebook account." And then whichever character the girls especially blend together in this movie goes, "Well, that's not good." It's just like the flattest
I liked
delivery
it.
possible.
I like that. No, I remember that line delivery. I loved it actually because
Why?
it seemed like she was being snarky, like sarcastic with the thing. Like it didn't seem like she was actually concerned, but it was
she didn't. Yeah, she didn't.
But she
seem
realized it
concerned
was
at all.
something that she maybe should be concerned about.
No, I did not detect that.
I think that's a sign of bad acting when you don't know how to interpret the emotion being conveyed.
Well, I mean, I think I can imagine that these actors are like delivering these lines to a blank screen phone, like nothing, right?
Right.
Then they would just fill that in later, so probably had nothing to go off of, but I don't think that excuses bad acting. I do think that the lead of all of the actors was the best.
Alice?
Yeah, I thought
Oh.
Alice was the best.
Alice,
Disagree.
sweet Alice.
I thought she was the worst.
Really?
I
No,
thought-
her friend was the worst. The other girl was
Shakespeare
the worst.
girl?
Shakespeare girl was the worst because she doesn't know how to do Shakespeare, and they made her character an actress, and that made me want to kill myself.
And they
Like,
made her read
she
like
was
the
so
horniest
bad.
fucking lines from Shakespeare.
All I heard was milk, nipple, and what?
Oh God.
Her boyfriend was like, all I heard was milk.
I thought
nipple."
she was a better actor than Alice, and I thought the girl at the beginning, the dead girl, Nikki, I thought she, in the 5 seconds we see her, is better than Alice.
She is a
Alice-
better actor because she's got a better IMDb page.
I actually liked Cody best. That was the black kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the best
He's
actor.
The generic names all kind of blend together, but yeah, he was solid. Everybody else fucking sucked. Gavin, get the
Oh,
fuck out,
God.
Gavin.
Well, and Dan, the Asian guy.
He was okay.
was
He wasn't
so
as bad as
bad.
Gavin to me.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh no, I thought Dan was.
Gavin's
I thought he
eyes
was-
were just like blank every fucking
Dan was
scene.
the Asian kid.
Yeah.
I thought he was the best because like he his character is supposed to be a douche, and I believed that he was a douche. Like, I feel like he
played douche
really,
well.
he really blended into the role. He played douche well. Douche is my favorite game, incidentally.
Well, speaking of who the characters are, and especially that character, because that character's like big moment comes when he uses his phone to like, you know,
Oh, it comes all right.
stealthily videotape him and Shakespeare Girl having sex, and then, you know, Mr. Bedeviled is like, oh, I'll upload that to Instagram or whatever.
Because like 56% of videos uploaded to porn websites are from like couples uploaded from their phone or something. He pipes in with like statistics on like
Right.
why it's a normal thing to do.
Sure. But I think a problem with this movie is we never really get a sense of these kids' lives, and they bring in these subplots. Like, all right, so if you take a sex video with your girlfriend and it gets uploaded to the internet, there's fallout from that. Like, I'm watching 13 Reasons Why right now. But, yeah, that's a 6-episode arc. Right
For
there.
reasons unbeknownst to anyone.
But we don't care because we don't know anybody outside of this group. We only meet like one parent in this whole movie. I'm like, so where does the fallout come from? Like, I didn't feel like there were any stakes.
Right. There are
like,
no
I don't know what her
stakes.
reputation is at school, if she's known as a slut or if she's known as like a, you know, a straight A student.
She is an actress, the drama club.
Oh, that's right. Well,
You were in high school, weren't you?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but it comes in and it's like, you're like, oh, that's not good. There's consequences for that. But then it's just kind of accounting on you to know that. And then it doesn't really do anything else with it. I'm like, why did they even introduce that plot line in the first place? To tell me that Mr. Bedeviled was bad? I already know Mr. Bedeviled is bad. Because his name is Mr. Bedeviled.
yeah, I mean, I had that problem with every character where like they do all seem to exist in their own sort of vacuums, and I didn't. That's a problem with a lot of these horror movies. Is like they just assume that you get a bunch of like mildly attractive young people together, and the audience is going to care. My thing is like I either need to really not want them to die or really want them to die, and in this movie, I felt completely indifferent.
And I felt like they felt the same way about themselves.
And sure, seemed like it.
I think there was only one person that I didn't want to die, and it took to like the very moment before they die for me to be like, please don't die. And spoiler room.
I think in my
Later.
notes I wrote
Spoiler
down
room.
something. I'm not going to scroll through the whole thing, but like, can everybody please just die so this can be over? Like, it just felt so tedious to me. This was like 50 minutes into the movie, probably.
Well, let me continue to be positive and tell you about one thing that I really enjoyed, and I don't think this is spoiler room material, but it's semi-spoiler. Basically, about 3/4 of the way through the movie, we find out that basically what's going on here is Mr. Bedeviled the app is a vessel for a paranormal entity, like a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that they gave it a plausible, I mean, as plausible as you could
Fairly.
expect,
Yeah.
X-Files-esque explanation, because we know that ghosts are detected with like electromagnetic fields and stuff like that. So the idea of a ghost having an electromagnetic field and using that through our technology to enter our realm better, I thought that was a very interesting idea. I liked it a lot.
Oh, and how many times has Poltergeist used like electricity or televisions or things to come into our world? You know,
Right.
Poltergeist, The Ring, all these other movies in which they can literally come out of whatever. So it's been done, but
What year did this movie come out?
16,
Yeah.
17.
I mean, one of my
Very
central
recent.
problems with it is, okay, I could take it on its own, but it's hard for me to take like any movie that features cell phones so predominantly seriously. Like, it's still a thing like I just feel like doesn't look good on film. I think it's too convenient. Like it erases a lot of opportunities for interesting conversation or whatever else. You can just see a text. Like the reality of like how we can be monitored through our cell phones or, you know, smart devices is scarier than anything that happens in this movie. It gives me more anxiety than anything that happens in this movie.
Well, any movie centered around like the internet or cell phones or apps as horror just still feels so self-conscious to me because it is very real. It's a great thing to tap into for horror, and there's a lot of potential there. Someone could make a fucking great movie about that, but it's such an easy target right now, you know? I think, you know, there's so much discussion about what are our phones doing to our lives? What is our obsession with the internet doing to our lives? And so it's an easy thing for a lazy writer or a lazy director to go, oh, I'll make a horror movie about that. That'll be sweet.
Well, it's
Right.
surprising that we haven't found a good horror movie about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How has
but-
no one like made a really fucking great movie around that concept?
I'm like, where
yet?
like
I
dude,
can't think of one.
remake Dial M for Murder with a cell phone. Like, I don't know.
But what I liked about this movie is that it really doesn't seem that interested in dwelling on our cell phone culture, other than some examples here and there, I thought.
I wrote that in my notes, actually. I mean, not that that proves anything, but I was thinking the same thing while watching the movie. It's like, I really expect a movie about a killer app to be more concerned with, like, the way we behave and how, kids spend too much time on their phones, or how they, abuse the use of their phones in some way.
No.
There's none of that. Like
think
I
it's
said
fine.
earlier, they're almost only on their phones when they're using Bedevil or talking about Bedevil.
Yeah, it's fine. It didn't come across as preachy at all.
No.
And
Thank God.
I liked that it was just like, yeah, you know what? The cell phone is just a vessel for a ghost. And this is ultimately like a ghost/demon story.
Probably just an access, like a way to access the teens
Yeah.
and their souls. Because, I mean, apps spread like wildfire, just like this podcast will, right? Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I will give this movie that it's cool. I'm always thinking of a way to access teens and their souls, and I never would have thought of
There you
using a
go.
smartphone.
You go, Stu. You got yourself a plan.
There we go.
Well, I would like to see a movie where, and the last great X-Files episode that they ever made kind of touches on this. But other than
Which
that,
one?
one you haven't seen yet.
Oh, there's still a great
There's
one ahead.
There's a great one in
In the
season
10
11
episodes I
that
haven't
kind of
seen
takes on technology.
Oh, fuck.
And I think it would have been interesting to see how fucked up Bedeviled could be within the confines of the app, within the confines of technology. Because basically he just antagonizes them on the phone, and then a ghost appears and kills them, right? Like, he could kill people within stuff that he could conceivably do from an app.
Oh, yeah.
He could have a SWAT team show up to his house and kill him, This is stuff that actually happens today, stuff that involves actual technology.
Mm-hmm.
Well, didn't they do some of that in Unfriended a little bit, if I remember?
I don't remember Unfriended very
Okay.
well.
They convinced them to kill themselves or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
There's an Unfriended sequel coming. What's that
No.
called? Unfriended.
Dark Web.
Refriended?
Dark Web.
No.
That's right.
I can't wait. I'm there. Day one.
Unblocked.
Oh, that's that's my fear, is that some exes will get unblocked. There you go.
Finally an answer.
yeah,
I'm glad you let that simmer.
yeah.
I'm going to replace mine. I had 2 last week, but I'm going to put that at the top of the list now.
Oh,
The
good.
other 2 have been downgraded.
I'm trying to remember what Chris is afraid of. Hold on. Don't say it.
I remember.
They were
You
really
repeated
funny.
it again.
They're
Did you
not
repeat it
funny. One of them is fucking serious as fuck.
He just repeated it.
No, he
today.
didn't.
No, he
Sure,
didn't.
he did.
No, he had a
No,
list
if he
of,
did, it was a
of
joke.
3. I don't
There's
remember.
3.
Chris,
State
remind us.
police.
Oh, state police.
Nightclub
Oh, yes.
fires.
State police, nightclub fires, kidney stones, and the Mothman.
Oh, the Mothman.
That's right. That's
funny.
right. Because you gave a lecture about nightclub
Yeah.
fires.
Mothman scares me because we don't know his
Yeah.
motivations.
The exit, the way to exit. I heard that one.
Good, it's important.
I'm going to do the thing I do in every episode. So, Bedeviled, like just bringing us back to the fucking movie. Bedeviled, I'm sorry. Gotta say
Bedeviled.
I'm still
Bedeviled.
teaching myself.
There's one more movie that this movie thinks it wants to be, which
yes,
is
please.
It.
Yes!
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Thought the same thing.
Totally. Absolutely. There were so many things that reminded me of It. The biggest thing being the fucking smile on this guy's face, and the fact that he's smiling, like the friends later smile in this dream, and this creepy ass smile, the policeman smiles later with the bow tie. There's a red balloon somewhere.
The red balloon was
I
the
was
biggest
waiting for
it
him
cue
to
for
be
me.
like, "We float" or something, all that shit. And just
Or just fear.
Yeah.
And then sink into the
the
darkness.
the fact that it takes form of people's fears, and so does this guy. And I felt like
It's
that
hit
was
with
such a
smartphones.
predominant thing.
Yeah. I mean, it got to it before the most recent adaptation, though.
Is it even
Yes.
good enough to warrant all these homages that we keep seeing?
Patrick has read. Have you read the full?
You say
Yeah.
homage?
Yeah, he says homage all the time.
Yeah, I say homage.
Homage. H
I
is
say-
silent. See, I don't correct you
Everybody-
every word you mispronounce.
Oh, you should. I sound like a fucking idiot.
I was gonna correct you on that last episode.
Homage.
Homage.
I don't mean to correct you, but it's homage.
Fine. Great. Continue, Patrick.
What was I saying?
Oh,
you
well,
asked me.
You've read the book. I've only read half the book.
Yeah, why
And
do all
the
these
other half
assholes
right
give a fuck about it? Why are they all trying to be it? Is it even that good, or are they like, well, it's recognizable? I want to be recognized.
I mean, there's probably a lot of that, but I think it is good, at least in my experience with half of it.
I really enjoyed the book, yeah. I think it became iconic because of Tim Curry and the visual of the clown, and because it tapped into a lot of people's fears about clowns, and the clown part got played up way more than in the book by the first movie.
There's not a lot of clowning around in the book.
Not a lot of clowning around, no. It's a pretty serious book. There's not a lot of monkey business.
If you 9 times out of 10 when you call him, he's not down to clown.
He's not down to clown.
No.
He just lays it down, clown.
That's just for me and you, buddy.
We're doing I want to see you guys do a cipher later.
Oh, God.
But anyways, what was the question? Just if it is worth all the love and respect it gets?
The homages that it gets.
The homages that it got.
I love you, Chris.
I don't know. It's just a pop culture phenomenon unto itself. Helped along by Tim Curry and the various movie adaptations.
No doubt, it's in the DNA. I think Sam is right. Like, it's in the DNA of this movie.
Oh yeah, I mean the red balloon alone is just like the scene that shows up in, and then what shows up behind the red balloon.
A clown.
Yeah,
clown face jump
that's
scare.
like that is it. Like that is
and taking the forms of different fears and nightmares.
It's in the book of it. It's in both movies of it. Like that is just a straight up. That's so obvious.
Oh god.
Yeah.
It's a ripoff.
Needed to be said. So. Yeah.
All right. Great. Guys. So now we can move on to view it.
Well, hold on.
View it. Or screw
There's two more things that pissed me off that I want to talk about.
Before we get to the reviews.
One thing that pissed me off was, speaking of jump scares, the loud ass music cues.
Oh, fuck that.
Every shadow.
There's a jump scare in the first 2 minutes of this movie. I clocked it.
Yeah.
In the opening scene, there's a fucking jump scare before anything happens.
And it's all really the worst example of what we talk about, where it's like, the music is telling you to be scared, and it probably would have been scarier without the music.
Yeah,
Usually
like,
would be.
There's the one shot. She's looking through her cell phone camera, I think, and sees Mr. Bedeviled through the cell phone camera for the first time.
That was the best one in the movie.
That was actually a pretty cool scene. I was like, oh, that's creepy. That's pretty cool. But they overdid it so much with the editing and the musical cue, where I was just like, come on, do you have to do that?
I'm sad that you picked the one that I thought was actually good. The rest of them.
Oh, you liked that straight across the board?
I like that one jump scare, that one sequence. The rest of the jump scares I thought were just like unnecessary and hitting you over the head.
Yeah.
The other thing I really didn't like is, like I said, I've said a lot of positive things about the premise and the app and all the ways that it worked in the app. So I was very disappointed when the final act of the movie, which we'll talk about more in the spoiler room, turned into no app, just ghost running around a warehouse kind of bullshit.
That's a spoiler.
Think that's a spoiler?
Yeah.
Well, too bad. They've heard it. We're going to take a break. Maybe we'll review it, and then we'll come back and elaborate on that little hint of a spoiler you got.
All right. Well, all right. So, who wants to give us their rating?
Screw it. It was terrible. I hated this movie. I've been waiting to say it this entire time. It was abysmal. I watched it. It took me like 3 sessions to finish this movie. All today. I did watch it today, but it just...
Is there any of these movies that you've watched in one sitting?
A Dark Song.
Okay.
Twice in one sitting each time.
Damn, nice.
Yeah, most of the stuff we watch is shit, and I expect that going into it. I give every movie a chance, but it's boring. Like the actors
that's your like thing though. If my thing is I have 2 things to say, your thing is always that you watch it in multiple sittings. You're always like, it took me 5. I watched this in 5 sittings.
Yeah, no,
10 sittings. It took me a week to watch this movie.
I'm not ashamed about it. I have a life. Ain't nobody got time for this shit.
It's an hour and a half, man.
It's stressful.
Sam had time to watch it 3 times.
Well,
and I work.
She watched 2 of them 3 times.
Job. I got bills to pay, my friend.
Me too. I'm an adult as well.
Good.
No, it's a bad movie, and it's hard to watch because like the actors don't even want to be there. So why do I want to be there? Like I just wanted to fall asleep. Like it felt like nap time every 20 minutes while I was watching this, and I kind of close my laptop, open it back up again, maybe go do some laundry, like chores around the apartment, come back, watch a few more minutes, hoping something would happen that would hold my attention so I would sit and finish the fucking thing. But like I mentioned earlier, I just wanted everybody to die so they could get it over with. Who's next?
I guess I'll go.
Sam's been ready with her review.
Yeah, I came in with a review, but now that I'm hearing some other reviews, I think I'm going to change mine to cue it. What with this prejudice thing that you guys talked about?
Yes.
Oh,
I don't know if
You are a
cue it with
fan.
prejudice, but you're a pioneer.
All right, so I'm gonna.
so that's like a strong cue it. You're strongly recommending
No,
that people
no.
cue it.
Well, all right, explain
Okay,
yourself.
screw it with press.
Whoa, whoa,
yeah,
whoa, whoa,
prejudice.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
No.
Explain yourself.
Okay, so I was interested in this movie. I actually the first time I watched it, I was into it. So
I love. I'm
kept
sorry,
my
don't mean to cut you off,
attention.
but I love that there's a person who can say the first time I watched it, referring to this movie.
I've seen it 3 times.
I know.
The second time I thought it was shit, but the first time I was interested in it, and it kept me interested.
What about the third?
The third time I was just listening to it, so I was over it by then. But
How does this sound?
it it sounds fine. Yeah, it sounds fine. The music was
soothing?
interesting. I mean, it was
Like,
yeah.
would I like play it for an unborn baby?
No.
No. Okay.
It's not
Like, put
relaxing.
headphones on the.
No, but you can actually picture her doing real yoga instead of watching her do fake
Oh
yoga.
my god! Thank you for bringing that.
Yeah,
up.
that was horrible. And I don't even do yoga. So I would say if you maybe down the road when this director does another movie, if he does another movie, which I think he's doing a second one. Am I wrong?
There's a Bedeviled 2?
Redeviled.
I don't know.
Redeviled. No.
Redeviled.
Redeviled. Yeah.
That you might want to go back and watch this. And if you are super fans of some of these kids from TV, watch it. Fine. It's too much like other films. So if you like horror films, you've seen all these tropes many times before. But why not cue it? But you do other things while you're watching it.
So it's like a low cue it.
It's a low.
It's like an opposite of cue it with prejudice,
Okay,
I think
so
is
I
what
thought
she's
the
saying.
same thing about with prejudice. I thought it was yeah.
Let me
I'm with you. I thought it was
explain
the
with
reverse.
prejudice.
Yes, thank you.
With prejudice, I've only seen it used with screw-its, and with prejudice means you have special animus for the creators of this movie, where you think they're despicable for having made the movie.
Okay, then I don't have that. So cue it, but low cue it.
I think the only movie I
Alright.
screwed with prejudice was Spawn, but
But we didn't even have that then.
no, I wish I had. I failed it with prejudice. I wish I had screwed 13 Cameras with prejudice. That's the one
Fuck
movie
that
I
movie.
think deserved it. Anyway,
Quiet down, Junior.
you want to go or you want to be last?
Oh, I'm ready.
All
I
right.
mean, to quote you from last step, screw it, fuck it, damn it. No, actually, I mean, I think this would actually be a like a light screw it for me. I didn't hate it enough to
Screw it light.
fully screw it
nicely.
light, screw it zero. Yeah, I mean, there were some redeeming qualities, I guess. I mean, it looks decent, visually striking in places, but it fucking bored me and it was fucking stupid. Yeah, screw it.
I'm gonna say cue it.
Hey.
Wow.
Yeah,
Woot woot.
I'm
What
cute,
the fuck, you
and
guys?
I don't think I adequately communicated how much I liked the stuff that I thought worked in this movie. I really liked the app. I really liked some of the visuals. I really liked that scene in the parking garage.
I did too.
I wish that this movie, and I really liked the sci-fi explanation of why the app is able to kill you with a ghost. I thought that was clever. The rest of it was shit.
But those things are all good enough that you'd recommend somebody putting it in their queue and potentially watch it at some point.
Yeah, this is
For
like
sure.
I was telling Patrick, on our off time, I said there's different types of cue-its. There's the cue-it where it's a what did I say?
I certainly didn't pay that close of attention.
I wasn't listening to you, my friend.
This is the case of a bad movie that has enough good stuff in it that I'll give it a cue-it.
All right. Cool.
There's also good movies like I gave it cue-its like It Follows and stuff. Like there's also good movies that have enough bad stuff in it to where it's a cue-it. But this is definitely a cue-it because it's a bad movie with good stuff in it. Great.
It's not a bad movie. It just did bad things.
Exactly.
Apps don't kill people. People kill people, Patrick.
Bad movies kill people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're about to take her down to the spoiler room. So,
Take her down.
Steer the ship off to the east.
so if you don't want to be here for that, get out while the getting's good. Otherwise, stick around. When you come back, we're going to spoil everything. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're in the spoiler room tonight talking about Bedeviled.
It's steamy here.
It is steamy.
We need to call Greg in to fix the AC.
This is our first summer of every horror movie on Netflix. So we got to figure out our recording
we did start in the
conditions.
autumn, didn't we?
Yeah, so we got to figure out our recording conditions and the heat because we don't want to have air conditioners running next to the microphones. We do it all for you. We do it all for you.
Does it sound conceited if I say it's because I'm in the spoiler room this week?
Oh, Sam steaming it up.
Clean it up.
I will say we need more corpses to kind of baffle the sound.
Got those
in here. I feel like it's a little
pheromones
echoey.
all
Yeah.
over the place.
Oh boy.
I think there's some in my air conditioner, actually.
Pheromones?
Yeah. We need to open that
corpses.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, open that up.
Oh, no, there's pheromones and corpses in there. The corpses are emitting
Hard to have
pheromones.
one
I
without
only
the other.
kill really sexy people.
Wait, but why?
Speaking of someone who only kills only sexy people.
Yeah,
How about
Mr.
Mr.
Bedeviled.
Bedeviled?
Oh, man, that was beautiful.
Brought it back.
Wow.
I don't even know if we have anything to spoil. The ending of this movie is kind of shit. Everyone dies except for Alice, and
Well, first we can talk about how they try to kill it. So Cody, the black guy, he's super smart and he
Super
knows
smart.
how to
He knows everything.
He knows everything. He can do technology. Well, he knows how to do it, do the technology. And so he creates another app, basically, that can delete the app, the Bedeviled app.
yeah, he hacks the mainframe.
Yeah, exactly.
And they explain it in gratuitous detail,
Yeah.
some of which I'm tech savvy enough to be like, okay, I see they actually put some thought into this and it's kind of smart. Some of it just was mumbo jumbo.
I didn't think it was legit, but that's good that there's some
I don't
basis
think
of
it's
truth.
legit either.
Okay.
but like the X-Files, it was within the realm of possibility for how
Some of
something
which
like this
was
might operate.
nonsense, as American Poltergeist would tell us.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how Cody gets? This is like one of the most baffling scenes to me. I had to rewind it because I was like nodding off, and I was like, "Oh wait, this is actually really crazy." He gets scared, like walking around his house because he thinks he sees a shadowy figure approaching him, and it's fucking Abe. Meaning Abraham Lincoln.
I loved
He has a
it.
life-size
Yeah.
fit of Abraham Lincoln.
I loved
I'm
it.
like, number one, how do you own that and not
Oh, it's
remember
not
where
his
you
No,
put
it
it?
wasn't his house.
Oh,
they
wasn't?
were in someone else's house.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Oh.
Sam.
It was.
But why was it there?
It was. I don't know.
It was there because they were in the house of like a kooky professor who was like a physicist.
Yeah, the professor guy.
Yeah, the
But
guy
I
who
didn't
they
know
find
that.
out. But yeah, because there's a cardboard standee of Abraham Lincoln, and it's like a jump scare, and he says, "Oh, fucking Abe." I love that. I mean, that was a knowingly stupid thing. It was funny, fucking Abe.
Okay,
Good pun.
I actually appreciate it now that you've explained the context.
Yeah, it was silly.
I
It was
don't.
silly.
I mean, it did make me. That line made me laugh. I was like,
that's
"Oh my
the
god,
thing,
it's
like-
fucking Abe."
This is just a movie that like it's atonal. Like that joke is good, but the rest of the movie isn't in the same sphere.
Atonal. That is a great way to describe it. It does not have a tone.
It doesn't have a tone.
Yeah.
Well, Sam alluded to that earlier. It's trying to be like 5 different kinds
Yeah.
of movies.
Yeah.
Like I would definitely watch Paul Verhoeven's Bedeviled
Oh,
Yeah.
I would watch Paul Verhoeven's anything.
or any
but-
director who like.
Would you watch Paul Verhoeven's sex tape?
Oh
No.
I
Okay.
feel like
well,
I already did.
then walk that back, Patrick.
No, but he didn't direct his sex tape.
He would if
Presumably.
he had one.
How would he direct his own sex tape?
You can act and direct at the same time. I mean, whatever the fuck his name is from A Quiet Place did it.
Yeah, the only
Did you
person,
just, what's his face? John Krasinski right
John
now?
Krasinski.
Wow.
the only person who has
Guys,
ever started. I like that
almost-
I said
hold on.
something so incredibly dumb, and then you like took it to the next level of dumb.
I almost said John Wazowski, which is a deep cut for our fans.
Oh Jesus!
I like that you didn't go to like Kenneth Branagh or something. You were like John Krasinski,
Orson Welles.
Yeah.
the
So
most
when-
famous
when you think
director actor in history.
director-
Guys, I was trying to be relevant, okay? Let's calm down.
Name a more iconic duo. Holy fuck.
But,
All right, well, I'm a dipshit anyway. What were we talking about?
The point is, any director who's
No, I mean, really, my comment was way more dipshitty, but you just like covered up for it, and then like somehow everyone got on the train of making fun of you for being a dipshit instead of me. So
and
thanks.
Then I piled on to myself, which I didn't know was possible. But
That was great. Where were we?
Well,
How did we-
Paul Verhoeven,
Oh, Paul Verhoeven. That's
We're
right.
talking about tone. We're talking about how the tone of this movie's all over the place. And I mentioned Paul Verhoeven because he's a director that sticks out in my mind as someone who like really understands like a dark comic tone, and also really knows that he can also make a movie and stay away from it.
RoboCop, the first time I saw it, I was young. It made me cry at one point.
I'm just trying to imagine how many Hitchcock references Verhoeven would shoehorn into his own sex tape.
Oh, God. You're thinking of De Palma.
Well, yeah, but yeah. Well,
But-
Verhoeven has definitely referenced Hitchcock quite a bit as well.
Like you can watch a movie like Total Recall, which is like balls to the wall, crazy, silly action comedy, and then you can watch Basic Instinct, which is a lot more down to earth, and they're two different movies. And a lot of times these like indie horror directors on Netflix just are like, "Hey, we're making a movie. We're going to throw it all in. We're going to try to be silly one moment and fucking super scary the next and serious and fuck this guy."
Well, it's like a first feature director thing. Is like you grew up loving all kinds of movies, and you finally get to make one. You're like, I want to do all the shit that I love in one movie. Like, this is my calling card. Or really what they're thinking probably is this is like my dream opportunity. I have to like get it all out there at once. And yeah, first time generally that doesn't work unless you're like Shane Carruth or something. It's just not gonna happen. You get bedeviled.
But I think that's kind of a product of our like reference generation.
Yeah.
Like just everyone is so hyper aware of pop culture that no one's really creating anything original anymore. It's just all based on, hey, let's emulate all our favorite really cool movies in one
They did
movie.
that in the 70s. I mean, back to De Palma, you look at a movie like Body Double, and it's like 10 different Hitchcock movies in one. You know, like that referential thing has been going on for a long time. But I do think there's something to be said for like now I feel like we don't have enough people who have like directors who like went through film school, were surrounded by smart and talented people, and have like the skills to pull that off. A lot of the movies we watch are, frankly, seem just sort of like cash-in movies where like they sell it and get funding based on the premise and not based on the talent of the crew.
Well, it's easier to make a movie in some ways now. So you can just make your movie that's like your random, fairly uninspired hodgepodge of all the shit that you've liked.
And I love these movies that take place in the realm of technology because there's always the point of view cinematography where it's like the movie's literally being shot on a phone or a webcam. And I love it because I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm saving money when I watch that. I'm like, oh, they're saving so much money by shooting this scene on their phone because it's a conversation on FaceTime. And it works for the movie, and they're saving so much money.
You love a good deal.
I love a good deal.
So are we gonna go back to the plot of this? What happens in the movie?
Nope, never.
So wait, is one of the main metrics on which you measure a movie like the economy of it?
The value.
No,
The value,
I don't
yeah.
measure it. I'm just saying.
Chris doesn't ask himself, is it a good movie? He says, is it a good deal?
I'm just saying when I watch these movies that are very low budget movies, I notice that stuff, and I like seeing how they cut corners and save a few $1,000s. And
Yeah, you just enjoy the resource.
And when they can get away with shooting minutes of a film on a phone with natural light, I say good for them.
You know what though? Like, I feel like I want. We're going to talk more broadly right now about the journey of watching every horror movie on Netflix because we're seeing a lot of low budget films, and I look back to like the Val Lewton movies, like the Cat People movies or the Undying Monster, or whatever, of the 50s and 60s. He was a master of like. Didn't have a lot of money. Well, he was more of a producer than a director, but like, so you never saw the thing that was in the title, but he found ways to still make you afraid of the threat of that thing. Yeah. That's good low budget filmmaking.
Yeah.
If you could like not even show the monster and just show like a door slamming or being bumped against and it's scary, I appreciate that so much more than like cutting corners by using FaceTime or shooting something on your phone.
Oh, I agree. This movie could have done without, as much as Mr. Bedeviled was a great visual. We didn't need to see him that much. We didn't need to see his long salad finger hands.
I liked that element though.
Salad
I
fingers.
thought that
That's
was
a throwback.
I thought that his nails were the scariest part. Any of his other forms that he took weren't
But,
scary.
imagine
The digitally blinking eyeballs didn't scare you?
God,
Oh,
that
God.
was awful.
Ugh.
Well, imagine if they had. I think our soundboard's making the same color over here.
Yeah.
But imagine if they had gotten rid of the clowns, gotten rid of the rampaging teddy bear, which we haven't even talked
Oh,
about,
boy.
which is ridiculous.
Oh, I loved that.
I loved it too.
That was creepy.
Imagine if they had gotten rid of all this stuff that's like quote unquote scary, all the creature stuff, and like just spent more money on the actors.
Sure, and
Yeah,
make
seriously.
the phone scary. Like, make
Right.
me dread seeing someone's phone ring. Like,
The
there's a
phone
way to
was
do that.
scary. They should have stuck with it.
No, like, I think, like, the real threat here is...
You loved the phone.
I did.
The piece of technology itself, like, I think this movie would have been better served. I thought about this a lot. I wrote it in my notes, as I've said like 20 times in this fucking episode so far. But, like, how do you make a phone scary? There's got to be a way. It's been done in the past with landline, rotary phones. I would have appreciated so much more if the focus was less on the monsters and the ghouls and goblins and teddy bears and clowns and on the piece of technology and, like, meditate on that and find a way to make us, like, afraid to pick up our phones after
Like in
seeing the movie.
Scream.
Sure.
Back to
Yeah.
Scream. Don't answer that phone.
Yeah.
I felt that way after that one episode of Black Mirror. You remember the one I'm talking about? Where the kid keeps getting like instructions to go do different shit. He's like being
Oh,
blackmailed.
yeah.
Oh,
Did
yeah,
you see
but-
that?
But
Sam?
that goes
Yeah.
way off the rails. But
Yeah,
like,
I don't like that episode, but it also
does
did
set the- it does
disturb
work
me
in
in
that
that way you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you afraid to be in public via the internet.
Yeah.
In any way whatsoever. Be it
Or
on
even
phone
like
your
have
laptop.
your laptop open, like who's watching me through my webcam right
Right.
now, you know?
Whenever this movie was sticking to the app and Mr. Bedevil, I loved it. Whenever it went away from that, I started having problems with it real fast. Which brings us to the ending of the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have we talked about the ending
No.
at all
Because
yet?
the ending of the movie, once they figure out that it's a ghost using the app as a vessel, it just becomes, they basically separate the ghost from the app, and it just becomes they're running around and there's a ghost.
Yeah, they're trying to get they tried to get the ghost out of the app so then they could delete the app and then he has no other place to go and basically, right?
I guess.
I think that's what
I mean,
don't
he's
know.
gonna find a place to go.
Maybe.
Like, no matter what. Like, he's still out
That's a
there in
good
the ether.
idea.
Make a new app.
And that's the thing, because I remember there
Just
being
flitting
really...
But if they can get the app off their phone, they survive.
Right.
So Alice got the app off of her phone, so she survived. And then she tried to get the app off Cody's phone, but then he had that firmware thing.
Well, then it winds up on her mom's phone.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Unbedeviler 1.0.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, that's all fine. But
Oh.
the ending was just
Oh.
shitty.
Yeah.
I can't, there's no
It was all
excuse for the
shitty.
ending.
Agreed.
They could have replaced that ending with anything else that involved
Wait, what was
clowns,
the
Mr.
final?
Devil.
What was the final scene? What was the final shot?
Was she is FaceTiming her mom, and her mom's like, I have
Oh,
to tell you about
God.
this wonderful new app I got. And
Yeah.
It's like
oh,
6
shit.
months
It
later.
even turns the lights off.
It's 6 months
It won't
later.
turn him back on, but hey, it's free.
The sole
God.
survivor. She's the sole survivor. All her friends are dead.
She hasn't learned anything from this whole
Well,
thing.
she decided to not be afraid. She's going to be a writer now. She's going off to art
Yeah.
school.
She doesn't give a fuck about her dead friends. She's gonna go be a writer, and she's not gonna make any new friends because she's got whatever
No
her writer.
personality.
No,
She's got a lot of life experience.
Oh yeah, yeah. Her mom's like, "Do you have any new friends?" And she's like, "Oh, I've got Joyce and
No, it's just Milton and Chaucer.
Milton and Chaucer." That's right, to keep me company. I don't know why I thought Joyce.
Is that really what?
That's exactly
Yeah.
what she said.
No,
Yeah, she's
Oh,
got.
right, because she's reading.
Yeah.
Because she's in liberal arts school.
She's reading books now. She's never done that before.
And she tells her mom, I can't wait for you to come up and visit me in my dorm because I'm itching for a home-cooked meal.
But you don't miss your mom?
yeah,
But how is she going to get a home-cooked meal?
I know. I thought that
It's,
too.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm
I
guessing
mean,
mom's
Mom
gonna
could bring it
mom's
up.
gonna cook
Easy
it, put
Mac.
it in Tupperware, and bring it with her, and
Alright.
heat it up in the microwave.
Home cooked Easy Mac.
Because I mean, we
Ramen.
could see a decent amount of her apartment. It's probably all like mine right now, and that there's not like a full kitchen. Like, mom's not gonna be able
Well,
to
it's
go
a dorm.
all out.
It's a dorm.
Oh, it's a
So
dorm.
there-
Then no, she can't have a.
Well, there's going to be a kitchen down the hall, like a communal kitchen.
right.
I
but
assume. Who
I mean,
knows?
wouldn't you be embarrassed to have your mom like cook in
Yeah,
the
you
communal
can't
kitchen
do
at the
that.
dorm?
Yeah.
I would.
Then again, I mean, she's so wrapped up in books.
Well, it
she
doesn't
probably
matter because her
care what
mom's
other
going to be
people think.
fucking dead. Because the last thing is her mom's like, oh, hey, Mr. Bedevil, turn on the washing machine. And Alice is like, oh, shit, Ma. And that's the end of the movie.
Cut to
What do you
black.
think the mom's fear is? Her daughter becoming a writer?
Her daughter not making any money. Oh, they're not Jewish. Okay, so that's probably not the concern.
Oh God, we can't say that unless you explain yourself.
Oh, I'm Jewish.
All right, she can make.
There we
that
glad we got that out of the way.
I can say so
Guys, that
because
was so
I'm
close.
Jewish. Such that tension was high, guys. Calm down.
The rest of us
That was
try.
rough.
Calm down.
The rest of us have to try really hard to not be anti-Semitic on the cast.
No,
so.
you're fine.
And by the rest of us, who are you referring
They've
to?
been
I
vouched.
kid.
Vouched.
I kid.
I kid, Jews. I kid.
Anyway, so
I wish there was an app that would like tell us if we were being anti-Semitic, like
Oh.
just like listening in all the
I
time.
can
It's
be
like,
that.
like
I can
goes
do
red,
that.
alarm goes off, and we have to
it's
reset.
Twitter. It's Twitter. If your
Ms.
account,
Bedeviled.
oh, you're
Yeah, I
right.
can
Ms.
be the
Bedeviled.
If your account-
Bedevil.
Yeah.
If your Twitter account is not suspended, you are anti-Semitic.
Oh, okay, that's how that works.
Yeah.
How
smart.
how do you Jew up the name Bedevil?
Oh God. Bedeviled.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I was going to say something like that, but it would be anti-Semitic if I said it.
We're bringing cultures together tonight on every horror movie.
Bring it
Like
every-
this movie.
Bring
I
it
mean, it's bringing
everybody
together white people and more white people and one Asian person, one black person.
And,
So inspiring.
And I think you mentioned before, there's the
Culturally
part where
growing.
the black character in the climax of the movie is like, oh, this is like a bad horror movie, but hey, the black guy hasn't died yet. Which is an okay
God.
joke,
So
except
bad.
all his friends have just died.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I did not think about
I,
that.
I wrote that line down because it stood out to me, and
Yeah,
it
me
made me
too.
cringe. But I'm cringing even harder now because like it felt
Really
unnatural, and
bad.
now it feels even more unnatural.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's trying to be self-aware. Like I'll give it that. Like its heart is in the right place. I think.
Yeah?
It's hard for me to hate this movie.
Oh yeah, no.
There's lots of good stuff in it. Like I said, I cued it.
Cue it
Yeah. Sure. Or,
passively.
you know.
Cue it passively.
All right, great. Well, what are we watching next time?
What are we watching next time? Next time, we are still in alphabetical order. We're going beyond the gates, baby.
Ooh, what's beyond those gates?
I don't know. You know, I've seen the artwork. I don't read the descriptions. I know, though, that it's an IFC Midnight movie, our favorite distributor. So,
And we're their favorite podcast, it seems.
And I think our favorite guest host is coming back, right?
oh, Sam, are you coming back
Oh my
for next
gosh.
episode?
Oh my gosh, I'm your favorite. You
Um,
guys like me?
we
You
really like
me?
you.
We like you.
Aw,
You pass muster.
shucks.
You're free next Friday. Come on down to.
Yeah,
We're gonna
I'll-
we're gonna accept the app invite from Ms. Bedeviled.
Okay, I'll make
No.
sure to only watch this movie a million times. This
Ooh.
next movie a
Oh,
million times.
Yeah, please don't shame us again by watching the movie like multiple times when we only watch it once.
You know,
Can you like
I
not do
can't
that?
Sometimes I
any
don't even watch them
promises.
once.
I'm a librarian by trade, as I mentioned. Gotta do my research, but we'll see what I can do.
What's the Dewey Decimal Code for Beyond the Gates? I need to find it at my
There
local
isn't one.
library in case my,
Most-
Netflix goes out.
Most libraries just put it by the title.
They just put
So,
it. They put
A
it wherever.
or
They're just
B.
like,
No, but if there was no, but
They
if,
hide it. They don't buy it. They don't buy this one.
no, but if there was a book on the topic of going beyond the gates, where do
Well,
you
it'd
think
be-
that would go?
It'd be fiction.
travel.
No, I mean like going beyond literal
it'd be-
gates. What about books on gates?
It'd be by gates.
Are there
Gates?
books about gates?
Biography.
Yeah.
I think that would be like 641.5, right? Like home improvement kind of shit. Am I right? Am I right?
No, you're not. But it's 600s, yeah, definitely.
600s, yeah.
Yeah.
What's 641.5? Oh, that's cookbooks.
It's probably going to be
Okay,
636.
636. No, that's
To be honest.
animals.
636 is pets.
Yeah.
Um,
fuck.
666.
What's home improvement? It's like 660.
6.
It's in
Yeah.
600s.
Bedeviled.
This is
Address of the
Get back
devil.
to us.
But
Get back to us on the Beyond the
Paranormal
Gates.
133.
Oh,
There you go.
Okay,
My
there we
favorite
go.
section.
Great.
All right. Well, please join us again in 2 weeks. We're going to be going beyond the gates. Hopefully, we make it back to tell you all about it. Until then, you know what to do. Find us on social media. Send us an email. If you're out there and you hate us, we'd love to hear from you. And,
And if you get an invite from us, blindly accept it.
Yeah,
Blindly
don't
accept it.
accept.
Don't even think about it. Just
The
go
app
for it.
won't kill you, or will it?
No, people kill people.
Oh, right, not apps.
Yeah.
well, until then, for every horror movie on Netflix,
Hey, Chris, what if someone wanted to troll us?
I'd bedevil the shit out of them.
Yeah.
I'd troll them back.
All right.
Has anybody trolled us yet?
Not yet, but I'm about to troll
You're
myself.
Please,
We gotta
troll
set a
these
trap.
fools.
Put some
Please
You're about
Yeah.
to
troll
just
these
start
fools.
trolling people.
Anyway, for every horror movie on Netflix, I'm Chris.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Sam.
I'm Steven.
Catch you next time.